Hello there, everyone. This is Carrie with Any Day Blessings, and today I have a homeschool planning video for you. I'm not going to do an actual flip through so much of this course. I'm actually going to tell you how I have planned out to use this course. And that's the sort of content you can expect to find here on my channel. All things homeschooling, curriculum flip throughs, reviews, how we use it, updates, things like that. I even put in some live videos of us doing lessons so you can actually see in real time how these things work out. I share with you my best buying tips, planning tips, organizing and storing all this. So if it's homeschool content you're looking for, I would love for you to subscribe and go ahead and give this a like so that I know this is the kind of content that you are looking for. So if you are not familiar with what is before you, this is the Notgrass Uncle Sam and You Civics program. Now, this isn't all of it. There are actually two parts, so you'd actually have two of these books. There are two different options for written work. There's a student workbook, which is geared more toward the younger end of the range, and there is the student lesson review, which is basically short answer, okay, and that is usually suggested for the 7th and 8th graders. So the range is grade 5 through grade 8, and so this they often recommend for the younger two grades, and then the lesson review for the older grades. I'm going to be using this with a 4th grader, so I've had to modify this a little bit. That's what this video is about. I'm going to show you what I've done to make this work for us, because my original plan for using this I have decided not to do. And I'm going to go over all of that with you today. But first of all, before I get too far into this, I wanted to make sure that you saw a couple of the other things that I got ready to do my planning. So this is the Uncle Sam and You lesson activity checklist. This is from the Notgrass company. It's on their website. If you click on more resources or something like that, I don't know exactly where that is on the site, but it is on the product page somewhere here. And that's a free printable. And then also there is this alternate book list, alternate literature list, that is also available on the Notgrass website. I printed this out to do my lesson planning. And then it doesn't have to be this exact one. Of course, there's loads and loads of printable lesson plan pages out there, but this was something I got from the Scattered Squirrel website. I will leave a link below. She has dozens and dozens of them, and this is the one that I chose because I just wanted something really simple. This is 15 weeks worth of planning on one piece of paper. I keep it super simple. In fact, this is a lot more in depth and a lot longer than I will usually plan out for. Usually I will only plan for about 6 to 8 weeks at a time, and if you aren't able to or if you weren't able to catch me on the live homeschool Q&A video that I just recently did about planning, then you know I do not advocate planning a semester at a time or certainly a whole year at a time, because things change, right? And sometimes you end up sticking with a topic longer or needing to move faster through certain things. So normally I would never do this. I'm going to explain why as we go through this, why I ended up planning a solid 15 weeks at a time or at once for this particular course. So I will get to that in a minute. The last thing that I did was I created an account at homeschoolhistory.com. I believe it's .com. I think it's .com. I'll leave a link below. I'll leave a link below for you. Homeschool History is a website resource created by the Notgrass company to provide a one-stop shop for books, online games, websites, videos, you name it, anything to do with history topics. They are constantly adding to that site, and that was something I used to create this 15-week plan. As you see, I've got videos marked out here, online games. Those all came from the Homeschool History site. It is, I believe, they're still offering the 60-day trial, so definitely sign up for that trial. But a full year's subscription, I believe, is only $24. I don't know if that price is still accurate. But that when I looked at it originally, that was the price for a full year. So I would definitely check that out. You don't have to get a whole year at once. You could just do the trial and see how it goes, or you could do a 3-month subscription. I think they have it broken down into smaller chunks like that, so you can just give it a try. So those are the things I got ready to start this whole plan, okay? And then I sat down with my book, the student text, and the student workbook. Now, there is another component to this called our Citizens Handbook, and I have elected to only utilize that twice in this first semester, and I'll explain that as we go as well. So there is another component to this. I don't have it here because I'm really not using it that much. Okay, so when I sat down to plan out Uncle Sam and You, my original plan for this curriculum was to do just this book, part 1, for 4th grade. And I was going to spread it out and just do history 2 days a week and have a nice leisurely pace through this, because I am working with a 4th grader, and this starts at a recommended age of grade 5. So I thought breaking this up over 2 years is perfect. We're starting it in an election year. We're going to cover the presidency and the election process in this part 1. It'll be perfect. Coming from our Star-Spangled Story into this was a big change, okay? As you open this up and take a look inside, I'm skipping by all of this wonderful information at the beginning. Make sure you look at that, you guys. There's tons of good information in the beginning. But as I open up to here, look-wise, it looks very similar to our Star-Spangled Story with bright, colorful pictures. It has the activities right at the end of the lesson. So it does very much look like Star-Spangled Story. A little bit more text per page, but still good spacing between the text and a big enough font size that my little reader isn't going to get fatigued reading this. We still have lots of broken up text boxes, which he likes, lots of pictures. Okay, everything's looking good. But as I started to actually read some of the content, I noticed that that very beautiful storytelling feel that we came to just adore in our Star-Spangled Story didn't come through quite as strong in this particular course. And I think that is because of the content matter. Civics doesn't really lend itself to that storytelling flavor. There are definitely stories in here, and they're beautifully told. I've read quite a bit through this, because I was really trying to get a sense of the course as I was planning it. So I normally don't take that much time, but as I started going through this, I got the sense that I was going to have to change my plan. I wasn't going to want to go through this slowly over 2 years, and so I began to read through here and try and get a sense for how I did want to use this, because I know I still wanted to use it, but I wasn't sure how this was going to work for us with the younger age students. So I have a 4th grader and then also a kindergartner who may want to sit in. And that is when I just went to the Notgrass website. Well, first of all, I will let you know I did pray, because I was really upset that this wasn't going to perhaps work for us. And I just love the Notgrass company, and we so loved our Star-Spangled Story. So I was starting to get a little concerned. And then that's when I found this list. And I'm going to bring this up to you a little bit more so you can see. It gives you by the topic different read aloud books, and these, a large majority of these are picture books, or maybe what you would call easy reader versions maybe of certain other books. But these are different selections that you can pick up to go along with your study of the Constitution or the presidency, for example. And what I was able to kind of deduce was I can come here and get some of these books that perhaps have that story feel, that have the types of layout as far as a picture book, that my kids are used to and enjoy. And I could use these alongside this book. Maybe when there isn't a story here, I could read one from here, and that would be the lesson versus the text in the book for that particular lesson. Now, I'm not scheduling that a lot, maybe 4 to 6 times over the year. You see I have, or not over the year, over the first semester, you see I've got about that many things highlighted there that we're going to pick out. I think I had a couple more highlighted here. So 4 to 6, maybe 8 lessons where I will just not read what's in here, and we will just read this read aloud picture book. So I thought, well, that's good. And then I thought, if there's no rule that I have to finish this book, if I just want to skip certain things that I feel might be too, I don't want to say heavy, but maybe just not of particular interest to my 4th grader right now, I could just skip those lessons entirely. And that is when I decided to print off this lesson checklist and actually go through and say, you know what, this doesn't really meet my goal for civics in 4th grade. We're just going to skip that lesson altogether. And so I started going through here with my pen. As you see, I'm cutting out a couple lessons there, and I started just saying, you know what, I'm just going to go through this whole thing, this whole first semester, which is part 1 here, and I'm just going to pick which activities meet my objectives and which ones don't, and which ones we can just cross off and help us still keep to our 2-day-a-week history plan, because that was really important to me, 2 days per week, and still get through this part 1 in a semester. So that's what I did. I went ahead and printed off this sheet, as I already showed you, and I sat down once I went through and said, okay, we're going to do this assignment and this assignment off of here. We're going to do combine these 2 lessons together into one, and we're going to do this assignment here, and so forth, all the way through this checklist. And I'm just going to transfer this over here so I have a nice, easy sheet for me with little hints, so I know going into the lesson, okay, I wanted to do a video here, there's an online game I wanted to play here. These are little reminders to me because we're going to do this in kind of a morning basket, so I want to know, maybe we go to the family room for this because I have a video set up, or we have an online game, so we're going to do this lesson at the kitchen counter so that we can get out the computer. We're going to, there was another one in here, oh, this one here. We're going to actually read what's out of the Citizens Handbook. I think this lesson is showing the White House menu for one of the inauguration balls, and my son is so into cooking right now, and I think he would really enjoy that and perhaps even making one of those recipes. So we are going to go ahead and read that, and I don't have that down here in my basket because, like I said, we're not going to be using that for the majority of this first semester. I might bring it in more in second semester, but we're not going to be doing the Citizens Handbook assignments much, so I wanted to write myself a note there to make sure I bring it down before we start the lesson, because I don't know about you, but if I start my lesson without all my stuff together and I have to go get something, I lose my kids. So this is something that's just a little like heads up to me. This is what I'll actually look at every day to know what assignments we're going to do and stuff like this. This I'm going to have kind of front and center somewhere. I haven't decided where, but I'll be able to look at this easily before we start our morning basket time and know exactly where we should start our morning basket time and what I need to bring with me. But I wanted to encourage you to print this off if you are overwhelmed coming to this course or any Notgrass course. They have these lesson activities checklists for all their courses available for print off. You can actually find them at the end of the lesson. They're all right here. This is exactly the same thing that's over here, but this is just something that I think is incredibly useful for planning purposes, and I'm so glad that I saw that on their website. And I would encourage you, if you are coming to this and feeling like it's too much, okay, this is too much, any Notgrass course, just go through and cross off the things that don't meet your objectives. Perhaps you don't want to add any additional literature to this course. You have something else that you use, or maybe you don't want to ask your child to do any written assignments in the student workbook. Perhaps that doesn't meet your goals. Perhaps you want to do just the thinking biblically activities and just discuss orally all of these other things. I would sit down with this and in a similar fashion just cross off or highlight, or however you want to do it, the things that actually meet your goals. That will make your planning go so much easier. Typically, again, I would not do that for the entire semester, but because my whole plan for using this changed, I wanted to make sure that I could still use this for 4th grade. So I took the time, thankfully found this list, this wonderful literature list, and the day was saved. And so I was able to make what I think is going to be a very fun plan. I will show you inside this student book and show you real quickly some of the types of things that we decided to keep in our plan and some of the things that we're not going to do. All right, so my son, for instance, really loves maps and things like that. So these kinds of activities he will love. Something like this with the National Archives and matching. Again, I'm not so concerned about memorizing names and dates and places and things like that. I'm more so interested right now that my son walks away from this course with a basic understanding of the purpose of government, both as intended by our founders and by the Lord. And I also want him to have a basic understanding for how the various processes and branches of government work. Those are my general goals. So the details are going to be fun, and as he has interest, we'll stop there and talk about it. But I'm not going to have him, worry about so much dates and things like that as we go through. So some of those type I will be skipping, but these puzzle types and things like that, he loves this kind of stuff. So I will be having him do these sorts of things and skipping the things that are more having the child match names and dates and recall things like that. I won't probably ask him to do any of the quizzes in here, or I haven't decided. Let me just say, I haven't fully decided if we're going to do the quizzes. I will show you those. Let's see. I believe the tests start back here. Okay, so here's a test. True or false? So maybe we could do that. It just depends on the kinds of information they're asking. So see, they're picking out a lot of the date-specific names, events, things like that. But something like this, okay, this one shows something that really meets my objectives. What are the 3 levels of government? What are the 3 branches? Okay, things like that. That kind of shows what I'm going for a little bit more. Right here, the chief executive of a state is called this. The chief executive of a city is called this. That kind of stuff I'm looking for more than names and dates and places, that kind of stuff. So that gives you an idea of the tests found here. If you get the student lesson review, you're going to notice that the tests tend to have more fill-in-the-blank short answer questions. These are more matching, true, false, that kind of thing. So again, geared toward the younger range of students. So again, this wasn't meant to be a full flip through of this curriculum. I basically wanted to show you how I took these extra little goodies from the Notgrass website and created a framework for me that I know in week 1 I'm going to combine lessons 1 and 2 and do that reading at once and do the highlighted activities. I've even told myself right here I'm going to read pages 2 to 4 and go over the pictures on page 5. So I'm combining it with here, and then I'm going to read page 8 and the top of page 9, and I'm going to look at the blue boxes on page 19. So what is that? 3 pages there and some pictures, and a page and a half here and some pictures. So not that much for a lesson, and these are the assignments that I have chosen to do. So I can just go right to here and just look at lessons 1 and 2 here. And that's what I'm doing for this day. And then on the second day of history, I'm doing lesson 4. So I'll just go here and look at the stuff that I chose. Doesn't look like I highlighted anything. Oh, it's on the back. I'll just do those 2 things on day 2. Okay? So I hope this was helpful, and I hope that if you come to Notgrass, unsure if it will work for you because maybe it seems too challenging or too much, go to those alternate resources that I've shown you here and see if you can find things that tend to be more geared toward your age of student, because they also have alternate suggestions for the older children as well. So go there, look at what Notgrass has already provided. They are a homeschool friendly company, meaning they write their materials with the homeschool family in mind. These are not intended primarily for Christian schools, although I'm sure they do use these in Christian schools. But Notgrass does write to the homeschool family, and so just trust that they have lots of resources available if you come to this and it's either too much for you or not enough for you. There's plenty between the homeschool history site and the extra printables on the Notgrass site that I'm confident that you can find a way to make this work for your family. If I can be a help as you do that, please reach out in the comments or send me a message through Instagram, and I would be happy to walk you through some of the things that I've done in more detail. Please consider, if you want to pick this up or anything else that I've shown you from Notgrass, please consider using the link in the description. It just goes back to supporting my own homeschool purchases and doesn't cost you anything else to do that. Just a way to say thank you for this review, and I would certainly appreciate that as well. So take care, everyone, and I will see you in the next video.